Good afternoon and welcome to the video check-in for today, October 22nd. I was driving back from the city the other day and heard a really fascinating interview. The interview, it was Terry Gross's Fresh Air. I'm sure some of you are familiar with her NPR show. And she was interviewing Rashida Jones, who is a wonderful actress, very funny woman. She's been in several prominent comedies in Parks and Recreation and The Office, but she's also a filmmaker, um, a producer, a writer, clearly a very accomplished person. She also is biracial. Her father is Quincy Jones, the famous jazz musician, record producer, writer, just accomplished musician in so many different levels. And her mother is the actress Peggy Lipton. So she grew up not only, and I just realized this from this interview, not only biracial. In fact, her parents, one white Jewish and one black, were married only a few years after the court case that made it officially legal throughout the United States for a husband and wife of a different race to legally be able to be married throughout our country. There were certain states that prohibited that by law. In any case, she is not only biracial, but her mother was Jewish as well, and so she was raised as a biracial Jew. I had no idea that she was Jewish, but she spoke a little bit about her experience, one, of having, a biracial family, of not quite looking black and not quite looking white, but there was a couple of fascinating things that she spoke about. One was that her family was friends with and part of a social circle with other multiracial families. So in her upbringing, it didn't feel unusual at all, even though at the time, and unfortunately in our world, in our communities, it still is sometimes unusual and maybe not looked upon in the most welcoming way. So, but for the most part, she had a good experience with that. But she said as an actress, and as she became an adult, she became more aware of some of the complications with that. What kind of parts might she be cast in? And even her own experience as a Jew who was essentially a not just biracial, but could be looked at as a black Jew. Now, this is something that we as Jews, and in particular in the Reform movement, really grapple with. We go out of our way to make sure that we are welcoming of everyone, but we're not always completely successful. There have been several prominent examples within Reform communities, within the URJ at large, and certainly in other branches of Judaism, where if you are not necessarily what might be the stereotypical Jew, maybe white and from an Ashkenazic background, that you might be looked upon with some skepticism, might not be completely welcomed because, you look a little different or you come from a little different background. So, certainly at Temple Israel, we try to be as welcoming as we can of all people, regardless of their color of their skin or their background or whatever it may be. But we all need to work harder to make sure that that is the case. I'm proud that we've started an initiative recently to make inclusion a more prominent part of who we are as a community, to make sure that all members and all guests to our community would feel completely included and welcome, regardless of sexual orientation, of different abilities, of racial background, of religious background, whatever it might be. So I'm proud that we are, taking that more and more seriously, not only within Temple Israel, but within our broader Reform movement as well. And hopefully, we have, I'm sure, a long way to go, but hopefully we will get there in a straight line and keep moving towards making sure that we are all feel welcome and that we really, follow those well-known words from our Torah to love our neighbors as ourselves. Now, we are also in the part of our Torah right now where we learn about Abraham and Sarah. And famously, We are told that God speaks to Abraham and says, Lech lecha, go forth, leave your land, leave the place where you are like everyone else, where you are safe and you're at home, to go to a new place and become a new people, a new nation, to be essentially a stranger. Now, the only way that's going to work is if we address those issues that I already spoke of, that even as a stranger in a new place, you can be made to feel welcome there as well, not ostracized, not looked down upon in any way. So I will close with a song I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Lechi Lach by Debbie Friedman. And if she, of course, and I think looking towards gender equality, flips the commandment to Abraham, which is Lech Lecha, go forth, to Lechi Lach, the feminine. So we make sure to include women fully in our experience as well, with true gender equality. So Shabbat Shalom, and I'll leave you with Lechi Lach. Lechi Lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi Lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi Lach. Lechi Lach, and I shall make your name great. Lech Lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi Lach, to the place that I will show you. Lesimchat Chaim, Lesimchat Chaim, Lesimchat Chaim, Lechi Lach. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi Lach.